Hello and welcome to another episode of Temporary Australians. I'm Jonesy.
And I'm Hirsty.
And this is Maya. This is what we've got coming up on the show.
We find out what makes Moto GP at Phillip Island such a ripper race. Damien Codognotto talks sense about footpath parking and why every state should have it. We check out Robbo's Harley Davidson in Canberra and find out how they keep an eye on staff. 10 Sports commentator Daryl Beattie talks about his racing and road riding experiences. We find out how the Bling Brothers got their name. Joe from Hog in Western Australia talks about the best rides in his state. We find out from a Western Australian politician why the motorcycle experience is fantastic. And we join riders in Cowes for what has to be one of the best biker parties that we have ever seen. So here we are on a windswept Phillip Island on the Sunday morning of the great race. Many people here waiting to see Casey Stoner tie up the 2011 Moto GP Championship. As you can see, the crowds are gathering and the bikes are everywhere. It is just a tremendous cultural experience. Those of you who wonder what it's like to get tens of thousands of motorcyclists together, well, this is the place to find out. It's peaceful, people are having a great time and seeing some great racing.
It's like any sport in Australia, when there's an Aussie doing well, whether it's the tennis, the Ashes, or Formula One and motorcycling in particular, there's the Casey Stoner effect, like there was the Mick Doohan effect and the Wayne Gardner effect, and so he brings lots of people through the gates, and lots of people are wearing Casey Stoner number 27 merchandise. So it's you only look at the campgrounds and the number of Casey Stoner flags, and it should be Stoner's Town, I think. I was in Cowes last night, and there's a feeling of friendliness and good humour, and everyone's having a wonderful time, and it's all done in a spirit of making this sort of pilgrimage to Phillip Island. And the distances that people travel and the way they put it in their calendar religiously is just, I don't think it happens anywhere else in the country, and perhaps not even in the world, because you look at it when they arrive in the campgrounds on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, they've travelled long distances but with a smile on their face, and then they get pole position and they're set for the weekend.
One of the comments that Frank Aragon made from the council he made is that the crowds have been so well behaved over such a long time that they've actually earned the support and cooperation that they do get from the infrastructure.
Oh, they do. This, there are minimal, if any, arrests and evictions. Everyone has a fantastic and wonderful fun time, but it's done with just a wonderful spirit. Everyone walks around this event with smiles on their face. They help people.
We came down with the MRA Moto GP ride, and we were just astonished how many bikes turned up for that.
Oh yeah, that's well into the sort of 3,000 to 5,000 number, and the City of Casey do a great job of waving that off on the Saturday. It's become a tradition. I know they had Kathy Freeman wave it off last year. I think you would have seen Kieran Perkins do it this year. Now he's a mad keen bike rider, and he's down here today showing a big interest, and there's a lot of others who, Les Hill from Underbelly. We've got Alex Davis, our ambassador, and I think it just goes to show that the motorcycling fraternity is from all walks of life, and everyone just gets in with the same attitude of friendliness and wanting to come here to Phillip Island, well, hopefully this year, to see Casey secure the World Championship, but if not, his 5th win in a row.
This seems like it's become an annual gathering point for a large part of the motorcycling community.
Oh, it is, and that's why the catch cry for our event for the last couple of years has been Riders Unite, because they all come together and they do unite. They unite to see sport, and it's one of the best and most exciting sports in the world, and they unite just to have a fantastic fun weekend across 3 days down at Phillip Island.
I think we're very lucky in Victoria and in Melbourne in particular that we can, let's say, control our bureaucrats to an extent.
Well, you certainly are. I mean, I can't think of anywhere else where you have such a huge amount of footpath parking, all legal.
Oh, it's fantastic. That's from the 1980s, that's the mid-80s, and we worked with Mayor of Melbourne, Trevor Huggard, and we thought we were going to get footpath parking in the city of Melbourne, and Trevor was a very canny politician, and he wound up getting us it as a state law. And now, today, the Minister recognises that it's part of the transport system. See, motorcyclists, as you well know, don't want any problems. They just don't need any hassle. So why wouldn't you park your bike sensibly, because you don't want to upset people, and of course you don't want your equipment damaged while you're at work or shopping or gone to the pictures, whatever. So you park sensibly. It's just common sense. It's not like if you're in a four-wheel drive or something where you don't have to have common sense.
Well, it's been such a part of the fabric of Victorian life now that every time I come down here and I park on a footpath with other bikes, the pedestrians they don't seem to mind at all. I've never heard a negative comment about the bikes being in the road. I guess they're just used to it. It's just part of their way of life now.
It seems to me that footpath parking adds a touch of colour and a touch of difference to the city that the general public like, the pedestrians like. The only people that have really complained about footpath parking, and they come back every 2 or 3 years, are some building owners. And they're usually the people that get up in an air-conditioned house, go into a locked garage, get into an air-conditioned Mercedes or Beamer, drive in air-conditioned comfort to an underground garage, get in an air-conditioned lift and go up to an air-conditioned office, which is then hermetically sealed, so that they don't have to deal with ordinary people. But the interesting thing is, if you go to the Melbourne City Council and say how many people in the City of Melbourne have given a written complaint over 25 years, if it topped 25, I'd be very surprised. So everyone's happy, except for a couple of grumpy blokes breathing air-conditioned air. Get down to your local MP and tell them you want what Victoria's got, because footpath parking is good for everybody. It's good for traffic congestion, pollution, parking shortages for people who need to use their cars. It's good for everybody, footpath parking.
Do you guys find it a place that you can meet and bring your friends to?
We would have, on a Saturday, we would have, 20 to 30 members there on a regular Saturday. But the support that Robbo's gives our chapter, we pay it back by, again, attending the shop and buying the merchandise and having our bikes serviced, etc. The service and the quality of all those three things are, second to none as far as we're concerned.
How many bikes would you have on the showroom floor at any given time?
Usually between 20 and 30 new bikes on the showroom floor at any time. I've noticed lately that we've got a lot of young people coming back riding the motorcycles, and with the advent of the 48, the more sort of sporty type Harley Davidson, we've got a lot of young people back into the fray, which is good, the more the merrier. It's moving ahead leaps and bounds technology-wise. A motorcycle is not the old points and carby and throw a bit of oil on the chain that it used to be. They're a very high-end vehicle. They run very sophisticated electronic control systems. And
tell us about the mural. How did that come into being?
It was a brainchild of management when they originally opened this premises, going on 4 years ago. Who actually came up with the idea, I'm not sure, but Cole and Christine and at that time their son Sam was working here. It's probably something a bit unique, and that's what you try for in all dealerships, just look for a bit of uniqueness to make the dealership yours rather than just another Toyota dealership around the corner, if you understand what I'm saying, because it's a pretty specialised field, a very prestige and high-end motorcycle, and we've got some very unique and good clients, So.
And of course, this way Cole can keep an eye on us while he's not here.
He's always keep an eye on us, mate. He's big brother. So.
I noticed with some of the wall hangings you've got here, there's a picture of Marlon Brando and Steve McQueen. Obviously, Harley is a very iconic brand. I mean, it goes back to 1903, but it's just famous almost for being famous. It's been in movies. It's been, linked with a lot of celebrities who ride.
Well, the attraction of the brand is a lot of that, isn't it? You'd be a liar if you said that for want of a better word, the stereotypical image is the attraction for a lot of people to the Harley Davidson brand. Movies of Easy Rider and badasses, so to speak, and riding free and wild and all that sort of stuff. It's a lot of the attraction of the brand.
Well, Cole and Chris have a reputation of putting back into motorcycling too. Oh,
well, like anybody who knows Colt knows that he's lived and breathed motorcycles for the better part of his life. He's got a passion for the old girls as well as the new, and obviously some days being in business you'd prefer not to be, but it's the cream of the cream when it comes to working
So you should really pay Cole for the privilege of being, shouldn't you?
I wish. He would probably like that, but,
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
I think I might argue that point.
You did pretty well, I hear, last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's my first full season, and I came out winner of the day in modified bike class finished up against a Hayabusa Turbo. Good day's racing, very, very good day. I finished up as the best time of the day. It was 9.66 seconds at 238 kilometres an hour past the finish line with a 60 foot of 1.49 seconds, which is a lot of G-force when you're launching at 7,000 RPM.
I was going to ask you, how do you hold on, mate?
Well, the beautiful thing about it is it's got a wheelie bar on the back of it, it's actually quite surprising how easy these bikes are to ride. It's all air shift electric operated. It has a launch control, 2-step clutch in it. You've got to do your burnout to warm up the back tyre because it's got drag slicks front and rear, and pretty much the wheelie bar at the back holds the front wheel and your certain height off the ground. It's just all torque, and she just takes off like a slingshot.
So what does it feel like when you're riding? Does it feel like it's taking off from you? Have you got to hold on tight?
The beautiful thing about these seats, it's almost like the biggest bucket seat you can find. You're really sitting in it. The height's pretty good. Your legs down, watch the lights, full throttle on the launch control, which presets it to 7,200 RPM. You just pop that clutch when the light turns green, just balance straight because it's all about balance on this.
No super glue on the handlebars?
No super glue at all. It's just got standard rubber grips on it. Yeah, you've got to hold on tight, there's no doubt about that. You don't want to be blasé about it, and you don't want to actually get up too quickly at the finish line or take your hand off the bar because the wind will catch you and throw you off the bike. So that can be pretty scary. But yeah, you pretty much wind it down to about the 100k mark, and you slowly bring yourself up while you're braking and roll off the throttle, and it's all good.
Are you enjoying the ride?
I'm loving it. You know, I actually, strangely enough, I used to love riding my supercharged fat boy on the street quite a fair bit, but you know, with the way unfortunately police rulings are going at the moment, you know, it's too noisy, it's too low, it's too wide, it's illegal blinkers, it's illegal horn, illegal supercharger. You know, you just can't ride them on the street anymore. So I just do everything I've got to do on the track, and I go out and I take my frustrations out on this thing, and go out and punch out the times that I normally punch out. So I'm loving it. I am loving it, seriously.
Oh, I stopped racing at the end of 1997, and a good friend of mine that I went to preschool with at that time was working here at Network 10, and the motorcycle Grand Prix was back at Phillip Island. I wasn't attending that year, and I got offered to go down and call some onboard laps for the weekend, and I paid my way down just to go and watch for the weekend, and everything went well. And from then on, I've signed up with Network 10, and I've been here ever since doing all sorts of sport, including V8 supercars when we had it for a long time. So over 10 years now I've been here, so it's been a great time.
Are you enjoying being able to go back and call the Moto GP?
It's you know, for me it was my life. You know, I started out racing motorcycles purely because I won a motorcycle on a television show. So at 9 years of age, you know, my journey of riding motorcycles started. And it turned into having some success. I raced in Australia, then got sent to Japan, had success in Japan, and then finished up in Europe on the world circuit, which is what's known today as Moto GP. But for me to go back after that and just work and watch the likes of Rossi and Stoner and all those young kids come through and have great success, for me is you know, it kind of keeps my hand on the pulse on what's going on, but it's much safer sitting back now as well.
So obviously you're enjoying it, but do you ever miss it when you see those guys going around?
Not at all, and I have never felt any way or that feeling of going back. You know, I guess I didn't really ever announce a retirement. I was injured and walked from the sport at end of 97. And I just always felt that I'd never ever go back. So that whole process for me was very, very easy. I didn't ride a motorcycle probably for about 5 or 6 years after I left the sport. And you know, over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I've sort of
got that passion back again more. And for me, the real excitement comes from spending time with friends, whether it's dirt biking in the bush where I originally started, and overnights at pubs or hotels in the mountains, or going for a ride through the hills or a journey with mates for 7 days on road bikes. That's where I get my enjoyment now, is watching other people smile from riding bikes.
Tell us about your ride. What have you got at the moment?
Today I literally rode a 125 Aprilia scooter into work, which would be a surprise to everyone. Great in the bus lane, perfect to commute around Sydney. Cost me about $7 to fill up every 150, 200 kilometres. When I'm not riding that, my ride is a Fat Boy Harley. Had a bunch of custom work done on it with some guys at Chopper Works in Brisbane. I love it. And recently I also had a BMW GSA big adventure bike because I love getting off-road, so it was great to roar down the black stuff and then get off in the sand and ride out. I love being out back and in the bush, but currently a 125 scooter and a Harley.
Tell us about your Victory first of all. What is it?
It's a Victory Jackpot 09, and bought it about a year and a half ago.
Well, what made you decide to get a Victory?
Went to another bike shop, wanted to buy another brand of bike, and just waited around for about 40 minutes and didn't get served. Walked into Victory, straight through the door. The customer service was fantastic. They came straight up to me, showed me around the place, and ended up choosing a bike off the floor.
You want to show us what you've done to it?
We've changed the handlebars, the rear wheel, the number plates around, all the actual pegs, pegs on the bars, the front rotors. We also changed put a performance exhaust, took the standard one off.
Well, that's one of the things I've noticed about Victory motorcycles, is you can actually pull stuff off the wall that you like and get it fitted to your bike and upgrade it, customise it any way that you like.
Yes, that's pretty good too. Yeah. Virtually everything that I put on the bike came off the walls inside.
So what sort of riding have you set it up for, mate?
Basically nice highway cruising, and it does take the windy roads pretty good.
It's amazing the creativity that this sort of system allows you to do. I mean, I know custom painting's been around for forever, but the idea of being able to just take stuff off the wall that you want to make your bike and make it that way, it's tremendous creativity for the ride.
Oh, it's endless. It never stops. If you think I've stopped now, come next week, there'll be something else on it. From a young age, I've always loved the beastie look.
So that leads me to ask, have you given it a name?
No, but they do call us. There's another rider that I ride with, and we've virtually done almost the same sort of thing, and they call us the Bling Brothers.
Pretty lucky actually, because we do a fair bit of riding in Western Australia. So we've been up north and across the Nullarbor. In the 3 years I think we've clocked up 50,000, which gives you an idea on how much we do like our riding. So yeah, it's great, we love it, great lifestyle.
Well, from over here it looks like Western Australia, particularly around Perth, is fairly flat. Are there any really good motorcycle rides, and how far do you have to go to get them?
Oh, I think if you're 25 k's outside the city, you've got all the hills, you've got the Swan Valley. When the winter comes, you've got the luxury of going up north, past Geraldton, and then you get into the northwest, which is absolutely unbelievable. I don't think there's any need to go anywhere else except this great country of ours.
I come off the land, so I'm used to motorbikes. So I used to do about 15 or 20,000 k's a year on a dirt bike, but to have an opportunity to come to Canberra and be involved in this ride, it's been magnificent. The weather's turned it on for us. It's been the perfect excuse to come to Canberra, so it's wonderful, and thank you very, very much.
Have you got a road bike of your own back home?
I haven't got a road bike, no. I'm actually contemplating getting a bike again. I've got a lot of mates that have got bikes, and with my past, I've ridden a lot on the road as well. I've had a dirt road bike in the past, so I'm acutely aware of the hazards. And the statistics are quite significant. The number of motorbikes that are being
purchase now and the number of bikes out there, and it's a great lifestyle.
How did you start riding?
Well, I'm 52 now. I reckon I started when I was about 10 on the farm, as we all did, you know, the farmers. And then I progressed to owning a sheep station, so mustering on motorbikes, and then a dirt road bike to get me in and out of town. So all of those things have just led me to jumping on a bike is almost second nature. So today was fantastic.
Bikers and bike lovers, we just think it's fantastic. This is part of our culture now, and it's a good part of our culture.
Frank, it's really impressive to see cows open up so well to the motorcycle community. Is this something has evolved over time, or has the council just been really out there and wanted to attract bikers to the event?
Oh, we've done it forever really. We're trying to turn cows into a bike precinct, so we basically close it out to cars and let the bikes have it for the weekend. And as you can see, it's filled up. The punters just love walking around bikes, and it adds to the whole atmosphere of the event.
Well, it certainly is fantastic, just riding into cows and seeing the bikes on the side of the road and down around the corners and the show and shine. It's just remarkable. Bikes everywhere, people everywhere, and well behaved.
Yeah, I guess that's what's really changed over the years is the behaviour. Early days here, we did have a few issues, but now we absolutely have no problems, no damage, no vandalism, it's really encouraging that we can have an event of this size with this many people and have absolutely no problem.
Well, Phillip Island is very motorcycle friendly. The economy has a great boost from motorcyclists this weekend. So, the public generally are very happy to see the bikes arrive, and you'll see school children out lining the side of the road, waving them in. The Barasheen ride arrives on Thursday, and that had 1,000 bikes in that, and the roads are just lined with people welcoming them on. It's terrific, and because it's such a well-trodden path, it's been down here for over a decade now. The organisers know how to manage the traffic and how to run it, and people know what to expect. But this event that we're organising here today has filled, a bit of a hole in the market where we felt that there needed to be some more motorcycling activities in Cowes for people who aren't at the track today. So they can just participate and look at the bikes and watch the trials and so on, just to add to the carnival sort of atmosphere of the whole weekend.
Well, we love the motorcycling community. That negative image, I'm sure, must have disappeared by now, because all the great work that the bikers have done for charity, for cancer. But not only that, when you get to know them, they're here. They're wonderful people. They're happy to spend their money. They're happy to socialise with the local people here, and they're very generous and friendly people. We love having them here.
Well, that was a great show, mate.
That was a great show. I'm going to take this bike for a ride.
I thought I could take it for a ride.
No, you can't ride this bike. You cannot ride this bike.
All right, you take it and I'll take the pictures.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.